Astrocross, I appreciate you so much for posting this video. I don't know how you feel about reactions to your content. I needed this, sir. I don't know how to read. It would have been bad if I read it myself. I'm fine with it. Remember, I don't care. But niggas about to start crying how they're just running through shit. Let me blind that champion. Let's make it. I don't give a fuck about no damn War myself, bro. Nigga, we better go off at LIGHTFALL, bro. Sub up, nigga. We're about to go off at LIGHTFALL, buddy!
This blog post just got dropped on us. Build crafting evolved. Over the last few years, we've been expanding
a lot of power creeps coming. I started the recording, it didn't record. I saw a lot of this video.
Any given flavor of combat.
A lot of power creeps coming.
While expressing themselves through the TLDR, consolidation is a major theme in many of the changes you'll see today. The current pre-LIGHTFALL mod system has been built piecemeal over the years and contains a lot of redundancies. The loadout system empowers Guardians to suit up for whatever tasks on the fly. Up to 10 slots available to save multiple loadouts. Holy hell. This single screen system also provides opportunities for players to create and share their loadouts with the community more easily. Oh, we're probably gonna have a
Dim, we still need you. Dim is gonna be still needed. That shit, drag drop weapons, it's still gonna be needed. Don't worry about Dim.
Share features similar like Dim. The mod customization screen will make managing your mods easier with them all in one place. And like the Guardian appearance screen, this screen creates an easy to reference space where you can see all your armor pieces and mods at any given time. Champion counters are being spread between artifact perks, subclass abilities, and more. An update.
Remember that. I told you I saw the video a little bit. Remember that artifact perks, subclass abilities, and more. Remember that listen to what it said. Champion counters in subclass abilities.
The mods streamline the process and bring new and exciting build potential to Destiny 2. We're taking the opportunity to touch and tune every single mod in Destiny 2. We're removing energy types from mods and armor, giving players more flexibility in crafting their builds. No more switching between energy types to find the mod you want. We're reducing the pressure on armor energy by retuning armor mod costs and changing artifact perks to no longer require mod slots. Holy hell, what is happening right now? We're moving from weapon type specific mods to damage type specific mods for increased flexibility in builds. Fellas, this is a huge overhaul, like Destiny 3 level overhaul. So starting with loadouts, being able to save your loadouts and easily switch between them in game has been a long requested feature and is arriving with LIGHTFALL next month. We're taking the power of quickly switching between carefully crafted builds and making it available in game. Here are some problems the team wanted to solve. Quickly swap entire sets of gears without numerous trips to the vault or having to open a second screen. Decrease time in between play sessions caused by
if you don't have the game's boring. I'm just telling the truth. The game gets boring.
And create ways to label loadouts for quick identification. Oh my god. Bungie, you're talking so dirty to me right now. Here you can see a warlock with 3 loadouts. Created of the 6 slots they have unlocked. Oh, so we actually have to unlock them. You'll be able to unlock all 10 slots by progressing through the new Guardian rank system. Each loadout label has an assortment of colors and icons to choose from, including Crucible, Raids, Trials, Gamut, damage times, and more. Oh, look at this guy. So, okay, again, save your weapons, even your mods to those weapons, and everything is broken down. But notice energy types are gone, and we thought that this was going to be the case, as this majorly simplifies builds. Now notice you can actually name the loadout. That one's called Raid, and of course it ties it to a subclass that you have set. This is amazing. You can also see right there, guys, where you can pick the aspect and socket aspects. Now I'm assuming this includes fragments. Maybe we just can't see everything, but let's continue. Mods and mod customization though. When LIGHTFALL goes live, it'll be a new ball game of sorts. Things will be different, and you'll have a blank slate to start cooking up new builds for future adventures. Not all current builds in Destiny 2 will be possible upon launch, but there will be a healthy offering to start with. We're also planning to expand upon build crafting options season over season. Now, problems the team wanted to solve: cut down on time managing mods, remove limitations that created confusing experiences, breaking down barriers to make build crafting fun, giving players more understandable ways to earn mods, and remove the need to wait for 801 to sell a specific mod that you
keep 801 around, because I need a Black Armory Part 2 expansion. I need it. Keep 801 around,
retune mods to
please.
give
Just for
players
one
more
more
forms of
expansion.
expression while also tamping down
That was the best. That was the best season of
we actually see
Destiny
the mod
by
customization screen, very similar to our transmog screen. But you see the cause again, elemental affinities are broken down. That's
tab over the weapons
right there. Used to be a
see.
stasis mod, no longer the case. And the big
tough,
thing about this, guys, is no longer do you have to keep multiple sets of armors and then swap elemental affinities depending on what you actually want to use, and that just burns resources. But you can keep that one perfect set of stat rolled armor for a given build, and then that's it. And you can actually see there for the armor piece, there is no elemental affinity under the power. And look at that, 1800 power.
Bro.
Now, our new mod customization screen is going to make creating your builds much easier, as you'll be able to see all of your currently applied mods and how they are affecting your stats on one screen. From here, you can quickly select different pieces of gears to start tinkering. So look at there, guys. So just from this screen here, you'll be able to apply these mods. Now, before you start freaking out about the costs associated with each of these armor pieces, I know you're seeing like the helmet 7 out of 7, the gauntlets 8 out of 8, the bond there being 3 out of 3. That's simply because those pieces of gears aren't leveled up. If you look on like the mod customization part for the Warlock, he's only got it leveled up to level 7. So of course, if this was raised to level 10, then this would be 7 out of 10. But this is a very easy way to see how much space you have on each given piece of armor based on how much you've unlocked. Now there's also a tab at the top of the screen, so you can switch over to see what perks and stats your current weapons have without having to switch back to your character's screen. Ah, yes. So no longer do you have to jump through menu after menu. Again, Bungie's really trying to streamline everything.
The niggas get bought by Sony. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, Xbox.
Transmog configuration. Now let's talk about earning mods. Historically, mods were unlocked in a variety of ways, but for the most part, you were waiting on 81 to have them in stock. Now we wanted to remove this waiting game and make all mods have a clear unlock path. All mods will be unlocked by achieving Guardian rank 6. Most players who've spent some time in the game will start out at rank 6 and instantly have all mods ready to go out of the gates. New players will unlock mods as they climb through the ranks, and look out for more info on Guardian ranks soon. Oh, I love this. So retroactively, this
I should have Guardian
curious to know what like
already,
rank 6 actually means. Like what all do you have to actually do to achieve that rank? And do we have a cap on this rank, right? Now, mod application details. Mod energy types are being removed, eliminating the need for 4 different versions of a given armor piece for build crafting purposes. And again, guys, this is majorly important considering we're about to get Strand, and we will get another subclass in the final shape. So can you imagine having all these mods associated with each one of these different element types? We're also converting the combat style socket into an additional mod socket for that armor slot, helmets, gauntlets, etc. We're also reducing the energy costs of many of those mods, helping give you more opportunities to mix and match. Additionally, armor mods that previously provided benefits to weapons based on their archetype, for example, hand cannon loader, will now instead provide benefits to weapons based on their damage type. This levels the playing field for all weapon archetypes.
So good for PvP classes. That way you don't have to have fusion rifle loader. You will just have solar weapon loader. And if you have a solar fusion rifle or a solar grenade launcher, that's just gonna reload faster, nigga. That
make it easier to put together a powerful suite of mods to benefit multiple weapons in your loadout, sharing a damage type.
I might want to play PvP now. I might have some loadouts
on what that umbrella of weapon damage type, right? But the main thing is that you won't be locked into benefiting just one weapon with a loader perk or say a dexterity perk. This instead will benefit multiple weapons across your loadouts. But that's not all. Artifact mods are also being translated to unlockable perks. They will no longer need to be socketed, but rather unlock for the duration of the season once earned and are passively applied to your loadout.
Yeah, it gets better. Guys, that sounds broken, but it gets better. I saw some of the video.
And that explains when you actually look on the screen here of mod customization, you see our Stormcaller. Notice the artifact, which looks really cool, by the way, but notice it, and it has passively unlocked Overload, Unstoppable, and Anti-Barrier, which by the way, will be automatically applied passively, guys. Now, Bungie actually explains it here. What does that mean exactly? Let's say that anti-barrier weapons of the season is pulse rifles. This change means that you'll no longer need to equip a mod for this, taking up precious space and energy. All your pulse rifles, unless they have intrinsic champion mods, will automatically have anti-barrier applied. As you can imagine, having every single artifact mod active at the same time would be a little OP. Because of that, you won't be able to unlock them all at the same time, and we'll have to choose which 12 perks you have active at any.
That's really good, because some perks you know you don't need. Airborne effectiveness buff. Like, what the fuck? Bow dexterity +1. You won't need that. You won't need that. So this will be an easy decision.
We do want to make it as easy as possible to change up your builds. So resetting the artifact will not cost anything. Thank God. Guys, Bungie has done so much here. You remember when we used to actually have to slot in artifact mods onto our weapon mod slots? And we were just happy to get it on our armor. But now it's gotten to the point where it just costs too much. But this is huge. Now, what does this mean for Artifice's armor's extra artifact mod slot? Starting in Lightfall, Artifice armor will have a new unique mod slot that grants 3 additional points to your character stats like strength, agility, intellect, etc. This will help you round out your stats as you perfect your builds. Okay, so we actually saw this from our artifact this past season, right? You can actually slot
3 additional points, but just to round out a build.
Now, I'm really curious to know how this is going to look. Again, grants 3 additional points to your character stats. Now, I know a lot of people probably think that that's not going to be enough because Artifice armor obviously is substantially better than regular armor in our current sandbox because you can slot on more artifact mods, but with them being passively applied, that's not going to be required. I think the stat bumps are still going to be very nice. So I think Artifice armor for my number crunchers out there is still going to be more desirable over regular armor pieces. Now, once you've gotten your loadout set and your mods managed,
it probably still will, but it's still Artifice has a good thing for it.
How much of an overhaul this actually is. Now, game, set, match. One thing that has always played a huge part in how you set up your builds is match games. It's been pretty much a requirement that you diversify.
This is power creep.
Find your damage types or end up facing shields that feel hopeless to break. We want to remove this restriction and allow more freedom with how you create your builds to take advantage of new element-specific mods. To reach that goal, match games being removed from higher difficulty activities, and we are making a few tweaks to how you do damage to different types of shields. Base shield resistance to non-matching damage types across the entire game is being adjusted to 50%, similar to Gambit Now. And we will have some other ways for you to do some bonus damage to shields that we will tell you about before launch. This will help you synergize your perks and abilities around a single damage type rather than diluting them across several different
They're gonna be resistant, but I'm gonna be wrecking shit in Grandmasters.
We're actually overhauling all the enemies and they're gonna be like 10 times harder than they are now. I don't know. We'll see.
They gotta be a butt coming.
Another thing that has a huge impact on your builds are champions. We want to make how you counter champions more logical. That should also make it easier to learn how to deal with them in the first place. So while you still have a selection of anti-champion artifact perks available to you based on your current weapon selection, we're also adding some anti-champion options to your subclass to complement your weapons. What? Barrier champions, Solar, Void, and Strand counter. When using volatile rounds from your weapons, it will also pierce the barrier and stun the champion. When a player is Radiant, their attacks pierce champion shields and stuns them. Strand will also have a method of piercing barriers. Overload champions, Arc, Stasis, and Void counter. Damaging an Overload champion by triggering the Jolted condition stuns the champion. Likewise, suppressing the champion also stuns them, as does slowing them with Stasis. My God, does this not make sense? I honestly, for years, have thought,
it makes sense, but I'm not gonna have to slot anything just to stun champions. Is it crazy? They're wildin'.
Can I not suppress an Overload champion with a suppressor nade? It just makes too much sense. Is our light just broken with these guys? Unstoppable champions, Arc, Solar, Stasis, and Strand. Blinding an unstoppable champion instantly stuns them. Encasing them in stasis, then shattering it or triggering a Solar ignition on them likewise stuns them. And Strand will also include an unstoppable champion counter. Okay, wait a minute. Blinding will stun an unstoppable champion. Does this apply to blinding nades on grenade launchers, or is this just the Arc 3.0 blind? This is nuts,
but
guys.
Is that not crazy?
Telling you right here is you really don't need weapons to deal with champions. You can just deal with them based on your subclass.
I'm fine with it.
This will change your entire build depending on what the champions are you're going
how they're just running
through
shit. Let me blind that champion.
With the combat mods,
let's make it.
Mini mods that once belonged to the charge with lights and
in a Grandmaster Glassway, they're gonna be running shit down in a Glassway fucking strike. Let me blind that. Let me strand that. Stun it.
Now fall under a revamped system known as Armor Charge and moved to armor slot specific sockets. The Armor Charge mechanic functions as follows. Socketing an armor mod that uses the armor change system gives you access to the system.
I'm still kind of confused.
Functionality of taking charge, which is where I kind of left off power to gain 1 stack of the charge, is now granted to you whenever you have any Armor Charge mod equipped. Oh, what in the power creep is happening right now? Many mods that previously created elemental wells or gave you stacked or charged Charger Light have been converted to instead create an Orb of Power. Ah, okay. So like, I'm assuming what this means. Things like Empowered Finish, Shield Breaking Charge, and pretty much all the global well mods, right? Like Elemental Ordnance. If I'm understanding this correctly, guys, that's just going to create orbs now. Now it continues. You can now hold between 0 and 3 stacks of Armor Charge by default, which actually appears as a buff in the status effects area. By the way, this is a buff here. I mean, be able to hold 3 by default. Very nice. Now, by socketing chest armor mods charged up, you can increase your maximum number of armor charge stacks as high as 6. Jesus, that's substantial. Now, I don't hear them saying anything about the higher cost mod. So you got charged up, guys, which only costs 2. And I don't know what the cost is going to be to that in the future, but it adds an additional stack of Charger Light. In this case, it's doubling. And then you have Supercharge, which gives you even more stacks of Charger Light. Now, my question is that mod just going away? Is 6 enough in this current sandbox? Absolutely. I mean, 6 with the current cost of charged up is plenty. Some mods provide a passive ongoing benefit while you have any stacks of armor charge. And when you have one of these armor mods equipped, every 10 seconds, a stack of armor charge falls off if not consumed by something else. Oh, okay. So you can't just carry it. Well, that is a nerf. Now, players can extend this decay time by socketing the extended charge mod in the class item socket. For example,
makes sense. So they
go
away over
the head
time.
Socket will provide a bonus gain to intellect while you have any armor charge active. Now, some mods consume 1, 2, 3, or all stacks of armor charge on a particular trigger, granting you instantaneous benefits when they do. A few other mods, Stacks on Stacks in the leg socket, Powerful Friends and Radiant Light in the head socket, and Time Dilation in the class item socket, etc., can modify the armor charge.
They can nerf a lot of builds by using that, taking away all your stacks or taking away one of your stacks. They can do something
for you without providing
with
you
some
with a
nerfs
specific benefit while you have armor charge. Finishers will also now consume armor charges and not dip into your super energy. Okay, so this makes sense. This is exactly why they upped the amount of charges you can hold, and it's really going to incentivize us to go for those charges, right? But more so than that, to at least utilize builds that will take advantage of those charges. Now, what this also means finishers, like special finisher, snap load finisher. I mean, there's a ton of different finishers. They all actually consume of your super. Some of them only requiring like a 10th. I know special finisher is like a 1/3 of your super or somewhere around that mark. Now it's not going to require that. It's going to consume just those armor charges. And what's probably going to be the case is if you don't have the charges, you're still going to be able to do the finisher, but you won't get the net benefits of that mod. Now, Elemental Wells evolved. While many of the mods that previously created or benefited from Elemental Wells are being changed to instead focus on Orbs of Power, some aspects of Elemental Wells aren't going away entirely. Instead of creating Elemental Wells, each subclass will now create damage type specific spawn objects. So for Arc, we have Onyx Traces. For Solid, Fire Sprites. For Void, Void Breaches. For Stasis, Stasis Shards. For Strand, we'll also have an object we will share more details on in the
What is a Fire Sprite though in Destiny?
Future. Now the ability
and Breaches.
The ability to spawn these objects will not come from armor mods, but from your subclass instead. So for example, while the Ember of Tempering fragment is active for Solar Hunters, it will now create a fire sprite when you defeat an enemy with a solar weapon. I'm loving the nomenclature here, by the way. But Ember of Tempering,
I love that.
Currently states that Solar Weapon Final Blows grants you and your allies increased recovery for a short duration, and it stacks up.
Okay. So while that's active, you'll killing shit will get you fire sprites. They're nerfing some. They're nerfing some
3 times. And states that while
Warlocks are going to be so good for Arc, it's going to be terrifying.
Increased airborne effectiveness. Now, the main takeaway is this, the increased recovery. But now it's going to be able to actually produce fire sprites. And if we look here, picking up any of these objects will grant ability energy or have other effects depending on your subclass build. For example, if you're running a solar subclass and you have the new Ember of Mercy fragment equipped, picking up a fire sprite will grant you the restoration effect. The number of these types of interactions will be limited at launch, but we intend to add this system moving forward. My thought process on this, guys, is again similar to like Volatile. We'll probably be able to grant ourselves incandescent in some ways. This is more or less tying into the restoration of it.
If Volatile Wells come back in a way of picking up a Void Breach makes your weapon volatile, Destiny's gonna be the best game ever created.
for tempering already does that. The main takeaway with this, guys, before we get too ahead of ourselves, we're getting new fragments for our current subclasses. So yeah, keep that in mind. I know we're like really tied up on Strand, and I'm excited for Strand, but Bungie is not going to leave Stasis, Solar, Void, and Arc
definitely
dry
not.
here. We're still going to get updates
to our
3.0 subclasses. Now, balancing act. While the main goal here is to streamline the build crafting experience, we also had to do some tuning while we were under the hood to address some of the power spikes certain build combinations created. As we said previously, we looked at every single mod and some were changed, moved to other slots, transitioned to other abilities, or removed. With the removal of armor energy type and the consolidation of mechanics into armor charge, some mods became redundant and were removed. Some ability energy gains, stat bonuses, and weapon damage bonuses from mods have been reduced, though we've also added some new mods to expand your build possibilities. Not all previous builds are going to be able to recreate one-to-one, but the system has been changed enough to open up a lot of new possibilities with new mods and ability combinations. An example of mods that aren't coming along for the ride are Warmind cells. These are a relic of a different time.
I don't give a fuck about no damn Warmind cell, bruh. I never even used them since when they were strong, bro. Fuck all that.
But these mods will be deprecated and no longer available starting in season 20 to make way.
I was gonna make a Warmind cell build though.
Crafting your preferred
just because though.
I would like us all to pour one out for Warmind cells. It was a hell of a run. So many builds we have made in the past with Warmind cells, and yes, they've been nerfed, but they were the original. Like really. Warmind cells came before everything else. It came before Elemental Wells. It came before Charged with Light. Some would say Warmind cells were like peak build crafting. With that being said, though, Bungie, before you do that, can we actually see hierarchy of needs get a buff to its base radius on guidance ring? Again, guidance ring, guys. If you
they could have still did something with that. Means Rasputin's gonna sacrifice himself, like he said. Rasputin's gonna die, and there's gonna be no need for Warmind cells. You know how they're all tied into the same lore. It's gonna make sense as to why they're going away. They could have still did something. No, that shit was lame. It slowed you down.
And creating a guidance ring based on that shots, it's substantially larger. But if Warmind cells are going away, well, we're not going to get that. So Bungie, can we just make that ring that size all the time? Now looking ahead, we've covered a lot and know there are going to be a lot of questions with so many changes on the horizon. We'll have more to say on this, along with a plethora of other exciting changes coming alongside Lightfall's release next month. With a system like this, the best way to fully understand it is to get your hands on it and start tinkering. As with everything involved with supporting Destiny 2. This evolution is not an endpoint. We have plans to continue tuning and improving the system, and we'll be adding new build crafting elements to fill power gaps we didn't have a chance to get to with this release. We're excited to see what you build with this new toolbox and look forward to seeing all the new builds shared out. Worth adding something like, we want to make it more logical, which kinds of things you can use to counter champions, making it easier to learn how to deal with them in the first place. I love everything here. Yes, the logic is sound, and it does need to be more logical. Again, like I said a second ago, why can I not see what
they do exactly to the mods?
Literally doesn't make sense considering I can go
fire
inside a Crucible
idea
and
and
suppress a guard. Overall, guys,
shit.
I can tell you right now, the system won't be perfect, and I'm sure some of our builds may even be sacrificed in the process, especially if anybody out there is still using Warmind cells. But from where we are starting, the fact that we can save loadouts, the fact that everything here is being simplified, and elemental affinities are going away, the fact that this transmog system, which I think many of us have already been using for
it's going to get better.
This is their first time. Same way for both our armors and weapons, and we'll be able to switch things on the fly. I think everything we saw here today is well worth the trade-off. Personally, I'm wondering how strong we're actually going to be next season, because with things being passively unlocked through our artifact mods, that frees up so much to be utilized elsewhere. Personally, this to me is like a Destiny 3 change. Like if I was to imagine what Destiny 3 would have done over like, Destiny 2, this is it.
And that's why they're so good. That's why it's so good. Because they didn't have to make another game and make us pay for another game. They did it in the game. We just had to wait for an expansion.
Here, this is how you get people more involved with build crafting, which honestly changes the game for us, guys. We have made so many builds, and I can tell you right now, I love every single one of them. They change the experience, and rerunning that Nightfall and that raid again with that new perfected build and dominating with that build, especially if it's a custom build of your own, that is a great feeling. Guys, let me know in the comments below what you think.
And on that sentiment, if you gotta leave it behind, bro. It's new times. If your shit gets nerfed to all hell, bro, just allow it. You already OC'd with the build. You can leave it behind. Ashcross, I appreciate you so much for posting this video. I don't know how you feel about reactions to your content. I needed this, sir. I don't know how to read. It would have been bad if I read it myself. Please, I love you, brother. Lightfall, we're going off. That's all I have to say. Lightfall, we're going off on the channel. I'm gonna have uploads every fucking day. I'm gonna be streaming every day. I'm just waiting for the chance for it to come out. Subscribe. Subscribe. Y'all see it in the bottom. Subscribe if you're new. Lightfall returning up just like After Cross, bro.